Hong Kong is a great city, filled with vibrant culture, astonishing views, and lots of bustling activity everywhere you turn. But as a leader in the global fashion marketplace, Hong Kong is also responsible for some of the worst pollution on the planet. As a gateway to Asia, it produces over 1 billion pieces of clothing per year, polluting rivers and streams with toxic dyes and chemicals, while exploiting hundreds of thousands of laborers under inhumane working conditions. But that's exactly what makes it a perfect backdrop for a growing movement of ethical fashion designers who are helping to clean up the planet by revolutionizing the way we think about fashion. This is eco-fashion. Environmental advocate Dr. Christina Dean is leading the way with her nonprofit Redress and its annual design competition showcasing some of the most talented, up-and-coming, sustainable designers from around the world.
Redress is an environmental charity that I set up 10 years ago. And whilst on the outside we might look like a fashion, runway, glamour, lights, we're actually an educational charity that's working to improve the environment through the fashion industry. I looked into the fashion industry and the textile industry, which is so rampant in China, and it frightened me. And I just thought to myself as a journalist, what the hell is going on? Why is the fashion industry so awful? And why is 61% of China's water too polluted to touch? That is a human tragedy, and it's not right to me. So I started Redress with no fashion experience, and I actually am so lucky that I had no fashion experience when I started, because I think it gave me the naivety that I needed to think that I could get involved and do something about it. And it was through perseverance that I've got here today asking the freshest of questions, which sometimes you need to an old problem. The last 10 years we've had huge success, in part because we're so committed to believing that we can do better. I'm going to go to my grave knowing and believing that we can do better. I'm not going to give up on that. Hong Kong has actually got a very, very powerful fashion industry. Of course, we don't produce a lot of clothes in Hong Kong, but what you've got to understand is that the Hong Kong fashion industry itself employs 800,000 people in 300 locations around Asia, and Hong Kong businesses make 1 billion garments every year. Hong Kong has always been a leader in fashion production and in sourcing because of our proximity to China. And Hong Kong now, across the entire supply chain, are really coming together to create the ecosystem for a more sustainable fashion industry. And the reason that they're doing it It's not because they have a green halo. The reason that they're doing it is they want to remain competitive. A stone's throw away from China, where you have middle-class consumers every day joining the stampede to consume. And Hong Kong is so beautifully positioned to positively influence. I would say the Design Award is, of course, one of our marquee, it's one of our main projects, but we have other things. We do a lot of consumer education, which is ultimately to inspire the consumer to fall in love with their clothes again. We want consumers to love fashion, to cherish it, to treat it in the way that it deserves. And we've written a book called Dress with Sense to let everyday fashion consumers know that sustainable fashion is completely for them. It's a practical guide to help them manage a more conscious closet. Of course, we have a TV documentary, which is now moving into a series called Frontline Fashion. We also do a lot of clothing collection with multi-partners around Hong Kong. We collect clothes and we redistribute them. And in fact, we've just done a partnership with Zara, where we will be receiving the clothes that Zara customers donate in store. Redress gave birth, so to speak, to a fashion brand, upcycled, affordable luxury brand that is made using luxury brands' fabric waste, using sustainable and responsible supply chains in Asia. And from Redress's perspective, we've been working for 10 years to push, to advocate, and to champion the sustainable fashion industry. We've always believed that sustainable fashion can be a beautiful product and it can be a beautiful business. Not only has it just rolled off the runway, it's pretty much just rolled off the production line as well. And it's already been bought by Lane Crawford in Hong Kong and also Barney's in New York. We have been searching the world, not just for sustainable design talent, but for the heart, for the soul, for the people who really want to join us in driving this positive change. And so what you're really seeing today is the 10 that came from 46 countries. We found the 10 through our judging panel, and we brought them here to Hong Kong to really put their dreams on the runway and to really inspire our audiences that we believe that the fashion industry can be better. For us, it's not enough just to put them on the runway with some gorgeous collections. We need to see what they've got on the inside of their mind and their hearts.
I think that it doesn't make any sense when you're creating something beautiful, but the story behind it is harmful to the environment. So what you are wearing is from one of our ready-to-wear collection, which is made by, the printing. We create the printing for every season, so it's made by using the glass pigment, especially for the church. So we capture the pigments, the diverse patterns and how it goes, and then we capture it and then we print it on the fabrics. In Hong Kong, there are more than 300 tons of textile waste discarded to the landfill every day. So imagine most of them can be reused and recycled. So what we are going to do is collect them and make it into beautiful pieces and give them a second life and put them to the market again. And then we can minimize the wastage by doing this, and also educating our customer to buy wisely and choose the quality instead of quantity. So this is what we are doing too.
There is so much research out there that demonstrates from a life cycle analysis that upcycling textile waste or using recycled fabrics has proven environmental savings from water, greenhouse gas, and from carbon emissions.
It's a collection of knitted fashion that it combines technology and handcraft together. So it's half of it's made on digital knit machinery and the other half is handcrafted by hand. And it's inspired by my background in fine art, so it's inspired by pop art, visuals of a lot of food. So I was looking at changing attitudes to food. So a lot of people are wanting to know where their food's come from, what's in it, which is obviously now sort of filtering into fashion. So I was comparing the two. And looking at retro food adverts and putting those into knitwear patterns. The collection's made completely from waste, so I used upcycled cones of yarn as well as discarded jersey t-shirts which I cut up into balls of yarn. My whole practice is led by sustainable approaches. For example, the silhouette is determined by it being zero waste and minimal seam, as well as yeah, thinking about the whole life cycle of the garment. So I kind of like working within, some people call it the limitations of sustainable design, but that kind of creates unexpected designs for me. As I was getting into fashion, it sort of coincided with the Rana Plaza disaster. So that was like an awakening for everyone. And obviously like the images of the people being crushed in the factory very much stuck with me. And that sort of inspired me to want to go into fashion to try and change things.
We're looking for quick solutions, you know. We're having crisis around the world. There are materials out there right now that are not needed. We need to be soaking them up. We need to be putting them back into the fashion loop so that we can slow down the depletion of natural resources and slow down the production of new fabrics and fibres. And for me, if we can upcycle waste, if we can reduce waste, if we can push recycled fabrics and recycle fibres, the world can breathe again, and that's my dream.